I'm very tech positive, and I love technologies, and I love the idea of having like personalized learning and individual aspects of learning, and promoting the, as you said, like autonomy, and being able to help children learn through their own interests. And to make that happen, it would look like that the easiest way is to do it by creating an AI super teacher that is going to like be learning with the children, and it will be like in closed environment. But I think that's the reason why, and I can say we, I hope I can say we, why we want to build a school in which you still get to interact with other children, and it's not just a separate, because we could have been designing an app, we could have been designing an AI, super smart AI teacher, but we are not doing that. We're choosing to create an environment in which students still like bounce heads, you still get to talk and collaborate, and even if it was just with seeing other people doing and working on their stuff, and having the opportunity and the ability to do so, because I think it's very important to have the shared realities. Even you just seeing how other people think about their work, you don't have to be inspired by it. You can even think that it is not the way you would do it, and I would never do it this way, and it's not, I don't find it inspiring. But I think it's so important for you to have the shared experiences, and not to create a one-person echo chamber, which is just you and you, and your trained you, because it just makes you a better, and we go back to like global citizen, because you're a better person who is able to understand like the differences and is able to be empathetic. So I think that having shared experiences, and I think that's also why you promote in your webinar for parents to play games with their children. I think it's so important for us, because nowadays we have so many ways how we can have our own reality, and then we feel so detached from one another, because I think, and that's just going back to how our brain works, like if we were in the like Stone Age, and not even Stone Age, like just imagine that we are in the cave, and we are just cavemen, and we are all looking at the fire or at the walls, or we are walking together with the nature. There were many opportunities to have different experiences. Like we had the same notion, and there were few people who would leave and come back and just share the experience. But it's hard. You had the leaving and the coming back process, and I think it's very important for us not to just leave to the virtual space and stay there, but you also have to come back, and you have to like tell about the experience that you have. And if it's cool enough to bring the entire tribe with you to see it, then you have to do it. So I think like with video games or with anything, it can be even work, it can be even school, like having parents, peers, children having the shared space and having the shared reality is so crucial.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, at least for me, probably my favorite part about games is actually talking about games with the person you play the game with. With board games and video games, and I can observe, I suspect this is true for most people, even if we don't realize it, is that the talking about the experience is even more satisfying than the experience itself. And if you had it on your own, it's actually part of the reason why I don't play games that much these days, because it's much more fulfilling to work on something with somebody else, or maybe play it with somebody else when it's a game. So I choose to play games with others more so than alone, because it's like a crucial part is missing, which was always there most of the time when I was a kid and playing games, because we played the same games with the classmates or whatever. And it's also, I think, one of the main reasons why most of the kids play the same games these days, because it's not about the game itself, it's more about the shared experience. So that's often why I tell parents they probably shouldn't just forbid the game, because it's much more than the game. It's the shared reality, like the communal experience almost, that like their cultural thing with their peers. And it's much a bigger deal than just the game.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah.
Because we discussed it, and I thought there was a very good thought that we have, because we were talking about why we think more boys more are prone to like spending a lot of time playing video games than girls. And of course, it's like not a non-binary question, but I think that there's just a little bit more of a tendency. And I just think that it was such an interesting thought, and just still in my mind, is that we actually do punish boys for their type of exploration of the world, and it makes so much sense. And I loved how you said, like, in the physical world, you get punished by smashing things and by, exploring stuff and by wandering around. In the virtual world, you get points for that. You get rewards. And I think it's just so important, and that's back to how it's important to navigate and create the system and the learning experience in order so it ties down to what is important to you. Because I think it's so funny how we are struggling as a society, like to get to help boys who are addicted to the world, and to help children in general who are just so much prone and so like keen on playing the game. And we think it's the game and it's the dopamine, and we're just trying to categorize it, and I think that we are not seeing the parts. We are just not asking the right questions. We're not asking the question, why are you there? Like, I don't think that even if you ask the child, they would tell you. I don't think that a small version of you would tell you, yeah, I can just I like here smashing the stuff. I like the smashing. It's like, I don't think that you would tell that, but I can see how us somehow making it harder in the physical world is the reason why children, and of course even adults, are escaping to the virtual world. And the idea of like just the contrast between me being rewarded for doing the things that I want to do, first, in contrast to me being actually like punished for it, because that's the thing that definitely all of us have heard, stop running around, where are you going, you cannot go that far, it's just a lot of no's. And you understand it because you know that it's like dangerous. It would be dangerous to, I don't know, wander around, but maybe not. And maybe somehow, somewhere, your primal need and your primal instinct is to wander around, like you just walk somewhere. It's an adventure, you don't know where. Like if you look at the games, the very like boy girl games they are designed as an adventure where you walk just somewhere, you don't know where. You have a quest, and then sometimes you meet people, they become part of your quest. Sometimes you meet people and then you fight and you move, it's just, and how could you do that in like the physical space? How would that be possible in the physical space? It wouldn't probably be possible because nobody would let you, nobody would let you do it. But there is some primal key need to do it, which the virtual space is providing. So it's not so much about, getting addicted because I don't know what. It's just maybe the space and the game was well designed to solve the primal need that we have, and we cannot fight it by saying no. Maybe we just have to create more of that in the physical space as well, or at least not denying it when it's happening.
Yeah, I think about this, like, I think there are two parts to this. One is I like to think about the needs we have in the self-determination theory framework. I keep coming back to it. It's like 3 basic psychological needs we all have: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Autonomy is like my need to control my life to some sense, to like be the agent that actually makes the decisions and can influence it. Competence is like experiencing mastery in any way, like being good at something. And relatedness is just feeling connected to others. And like this theory says we all need these, and we will seek ways to fulfill them. So I like to view games and other things, but games or social media or anything as ways to fulfill this. Not perfectly, but good enough if there isn't any other option. So as you're saying, if you have a need to explore or some like tendency towards aggression, not in a bad way, not like hurting somebody, just energy that you want to like express in the world, but you get punished severely or like limited in doing that in a physical space, maybe the digital space actually is a great option for that. We are just not really so far capable of like integrating it, or don't view it as real, and still trying to understand what actually like, what are the interactions. So, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think we should pay more attention to that. And so that's first part, the needs. And the second part, I think there is something to being aware that there are mechanisms, like addictive mechanisms in how we design games and experiences and social media that are just very addictive. And we don't do that just in the digital space. Like we were talking recently about how, you know, our parents sometimes designed the system of allowing like computer time basically as a gambling mechanism. It was not their purpose, but just by doing it based on their mood. So when I asked whether I can play, it was yes or no, maybe sometimes like in an hour, in 2 hours, not today. So I didn't know. And there are studies that show how addictive is this unpredictable reward system. So it was actually the same. And when we were talking about how, like in my case, I can now see that it was actually incentivizing trying to play as much as possible in the moment, because I didn't know when the next opportunity to play is coming. While in your case, you had much more free access, and like your memory was that you didn't really feel that strong need to like keep playing, and anytime you had an opportunity to go outside or play with friends, you would use that. So I think that's interesting, and it's easier for us to like blame the technology, but it's much more broad. I think we should think about how we design environments in general. So this is one thing to watch, and definitely there are, because the incentives are aligned in a way that for commercial success of the apps, of the games, of the social media, they want us to spend there as much time as possible. Therefore, they design the systems to keep us there. And that's not aligned with our goal, which is to go and live our life. And kids are easier to influence because they're still developing and don't know yet that these systems, concepts even exist. Most adults don't know they exist. So then we come back to the idea of being consumer and not somebody who has control of the environment, because they understand them and approach it more as a tool, and sometimes think they want to consume either for inspiration or entertainment, but not as they're not trapped by it.
I think that exactly as you explained it is, I think the important part about the difference and what we need to learn how to distinguish is that in some, you have somebody who is just consuming and is unaware of how it works, therefore is not even aware that they are shaping the space themselves as well, because like, of course, the companies want to maximize their their profit. Thank you. They want to maximize their profit. But if nobody was there in that space, they could not do it. If all of us, because we are in the space, if all of us think about the space as something that is there to elevate us, then they cannot do it as well. Like, there's no, severe push. Of course, it's designed for us to catch us, but we still have some part of like autonomy and our own decision making that we can apply if we know that we have it. If you don't know it, and if you don't understand it, and if you don't think about it, then of course you're going to be lost in the consumption. If the environment around you doesn't know it, doesn't understand it, and doesn't let you experience that you are actually the shaper of that environment. And I don't think that it necessarily has to be just digital space. It goes back to like day-to-day experiences that you have, because I think that if you have the experience in the physical space that I'm the decision maker of my life, and I do get to decide, then the same thing can be applied in the digital space. And then, of course, you still need someone to tell you, okay, just be aware of X, Y, and Z. But then you will be much more receptive to it because you understand it. You already have the experience of what it means to be responsible in your environment. So I think it's so crucial and so important for the children to understand and be taught that they are the shapers of the space as well. That's why I don't like that much when we just talk about the dopamine and how badly the algorithms are designed. Like, it's a co-creation. On one side is, of course, the business person who is looking at the dollars, but the business person also is quite tied to us and our needs and what we do. So if we don't let it to be, it's an equal balance. It's an equal, and of course we have to. I don't want to say that it's easy. Definitely not. But I think it's so important not to blame just the algorithms and just the businesses and just the social media. I think it's very important to start with ourselves and our families and our children and our society and our educational system, and then it wouldn't be so easy for the companies to do that as well, because then it will be harder for them, and maybe they will switch and they will optimize for different things. Like, they would maybe try to promote what we want, because I think that the not the thing that we realize, like, we pay the attention, money, whatever, to companies for something that we want. Like, we want to consume. If we didn't want to consume, that the company wouldn't build something big enough to sustain the need to just watch whatever, or to connect, let's say. Like, that's the need that we have. It's just, I really do believe, and I really do think that the technology is just a mirror to the society. Like, I do believe that people, when they are happy and when they feel creative and when they feel the best, then you give them technology and then it's going to like elevate. But then if people feel already a little bit of misery and they feel a little bit more dread and they feel a little bit trapped and they are very tired of their jobs and very tired of their relationships, then you give them technology and it's going to be like a massive negative explosion.
It's like a multiplier.
Exactly. So I do think that if we just look at it from the perspective, okay, you have this gigantic mirror that is giving you information on what is happening and how maybe other people feel or how our society is in, then we could actually just start using it and working with it instead of just blaming the mirror for being a mirror. It's like, hey, you, why are you telling me all of this information and making everything like bigger and worse? If it already started this way. Like it's, you know, it's not the, I don't think that you put a gigantic mirror into a society and that is the thing that is going to make it horrible. I do think that it starts with us, and I do think that it starts with everything, as I mentioned, like education, society, ourselves, our families, our children. And then from that, everything else can change. So if we like have more children understanding that they are shapers of the space, then even the person that is going to the next creator of different social media will have the understanding. It won't be just wandering around, just, you know, exploring, oh, people are giving me money and this is a profitable thing to do, because you will understand, and you will understand the impact that you have, and maybe you will create it different. Maybe you will just base it on different things, and you will choose people around yourself who will have like the same values, and you will want to create something that promotes like more positivity, and it will be important to you. So yeah, so I think the idea of what I'm trying to say is just that it's just about us. It's just about us. It's not technology. Let's not blame technology. It's us. Point fingers at us ourselves.